The last photograph was taken at night. It shows a blur of snow and darkness, the camera tilted as if whoever held it was laughing, stumbling, alive. In the corner of the frame, a faint shape, maybe a person, maybe just shadow. There is nothing obviously wrong with the picture. That's what makes it unbearable, because everyone in it would be dead within hours. In January 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out into the northern Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. They were young, athletic, trained. Several were engineering students. One was a war veteran. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was known for being cautious, methodical, almost boringly responsible. This was not a reckless group. They planned a difficult route, yes, through remote terrain, brutal winter conditions, but nothing outside their skill level. They packed carefully, they kept journals, they joked in their photos. They named their expedition camp Northern 2, as if this were just another entry in a long list of adventures. On February 1st, they pitched their tent on the slope of a mountain known locally as Kholat Syakhl, Mountain of the Dead. The name came from indigenous folklore. They didn't know that, or if they did, they laughed it off. That night, something happened. We know this because of how the tent was found. Weeks later, when the hikers failed to return, search teams were sent out. On February 26th, they spotted the tent half buried in snow. It was still standing, but it was cut open from the inside, not unzipped, slashed. Long, panicked tears in the fabric, as if the people inside were desperate to escape immediately, not caring how. Inside the tent were boots, coats, gloves, cameras, food, everything you would need to survive a winter night at minus 30 degrees Celsius. Outside were footprints, barefoot, some in socks, some in a single shoe. The footprints led away from the tent, down the mountain, in an uneven line, not running, not orderly, but unmistakably human. They didn't circle, they didn't return, they just went downhill. The first 2 bodies were found near a tree line, beside the remains of a small fire. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko were barefoot, their hands burned as if they had tried desperately to keep a fire alive. Skin and muscle were missing from their fingers. Above them, broken branches showed that someone had climbed the tree, to look at something, or to get away from something. Further uphill, searchers found Igor Dyatlov himself, lying face down in the snow. His arms were positioned as if he had been crawling. His skull was intact, no fatal wounds. He had simply stopped. 3 more bodies were found between Dyatlov and the tree line, spaced out like falling dominoes, as if they had tried to go back to the tent and collapsed one by one. Then the search paused, because the remaining 4 were nowhere to be found. It took 2 more months for the snow to melt enough to reveal them. They were discovered in a ravine, buried under meters of snow. And this is where the story stops being merely strange. One woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue. Her eyes were gone. Her ribs were crushed inward with such force that medical examiners compared the injuries to a car crash, yet her skin showed no external trauma. Another hiker had a fractured skull, massive damage, no cuts, no bruises. One was found wearing clothes taken from the others, including items that later tested radioactive. The horrifying discovery wasn't just the condition of the bodies, it was that no single explanation fit. There were no signs of another group, no animal tracks, no evidence of a fight, no avalanche debris consistent with the damage. The tent was still partially standing, something an avalanche should have flattened. Why cut your way out of shelter into certain death? Why leave dressed for sleep? Why spread out? Why injuries that looked like immense force without external wounds? The Soviet investigation closed the case with a single sentence. The cause of death was a compelling natural force which the hikers were unable to overcome. That was it. No clarification, no follow-up. The files were sealed. Decades later, when photos from the cameras were developed, people noticed something else. In some frames, strange lights appeared in the sky, glowing orbs, hovering shapes. Witnesses from nearby villages reported seeing orange spheres in the mountains that night. Maybe it was military testing, maybe it was infrasound, maybe it was panic amplified by nature, maybe it was something no one has named yet. What we know is this: 9 intelligent, capable people fled safety together into lethal cold and died in ways that still cannot be fully explained. The mountain kept its secret, and if you stand there now, guides will tell you the same thing they always say before nightfall. Do not camp on the slope.